Hello everyone and welcome to St. Petersburg. We're here at Tropicana Field for the final game of this AL East 3-game set between the visiting Blue Jays and the Tampa Bay Rays. So on Friday, game number 1, Tampa won at 4-0, but then yesterday Toronto, after a real home run fest, was able to take it 5-4. That means this is the rubber match. The Rays have not won a series all year. Here is their chance with Charlie Morton on the mound today.
And splitting the first 2 games, the difference for the Rays was the starting pitching. So a lot falls on Morton. In the opener, Tyler Glasnow was dominant and carried the Rays all the way to a combined shutout win. Yesterday, not so much from Blake Snell, who couldn't get past the 4th inning, and Charlie Morton's going to go a long way to deciding who comes out on top in today's game and ultimately the series in this rubber match game.
So we thank you for joining us today on the Virtual Jays Network. Jackson Farough alongside Drew Frank for this final game in St. Pete. It's been an incredible series. Lots of home runs and lots of big moments. Not the greatest pitching, but it sure has been fascinating. Some different lineup matchups, too. We got Cameron Biggio here today. 3 strikeouts yesterday, but also 2 base hits. Thus, 2 for 5. And he takes a strike. 0-2 now.
Second day in the row, we see him in the leadoff spot. Got the day off. He was in the 8th hole, lower down to start the series yesterday. Up top in the lineup and contributed to the Jays' win.
Swings on an inside pitch. Fouls it off. Yeah, much more of a prototypical Jays lineup today, especially when it comes to the defense. Although one new entrant, which would be the first baseman Rowdy Tellez, hitting number 8, and we'll get to him a bit later. Biggio in a 1-2 count and lead the game off. Strikes out in that low pitch there from Morton. So 1 away here.
And that's the signature splitter. You can see it dropping straight down. The pure backspin on that pitch induces the swing and miss from Biggio, because that's a very unique pitch in that it generates such late movement because of how fast the backspin affects the ball. So it looks like it's a fastball until it drops right off the table at the very end, and Biggio is its first victim today.
Lots of movement on that pitch. We'll see how Gurriel Jr. fares against it. 208 on the season in left field once again today. Swung on and missed there, that curveball. Able to generate some whiff. So a quick 0-2 count now. We're seeing Morton get ahead on both these first 2 hitters he faces. And that one's fouled off.
Gurriel with the big hit in last night's matchup. An RBI double in the top of the 8th inning that brought home a pair of runs and led to the Jays' victory.
2 for 5 yesterday. Yeah, as you mentioned, no bigger hit than that last one back in the 8th inning. They got a couple RBI and helped secure the Jays that win. Much needed one to break up a little 3-game losing skid, as that one's grounded down towards first. Troy's able to field it, and now 2 away.
Nice work to induce another piece of soft contact from Lourdes Gurriel Jr. And what Charlie Morton's really going to try and do on the mound is work with that fastball splitter combo. If you set the hitters up to expect the fastball, which you can run up at 96, 97, you can really change speeds with the splitter and use it as almost an effective changeup. Comes in the mid-80s, and we've talked about how sharp its break is. It's great at inducing the ground balls because it not only does it change the speed, but it drops below the barrel of the bat where hitters are expecting a fastball.
This will be Randall Grichuk, a guy who loves himself a fastball or 2. In center field, hitting 3rd today, as per usual in this Jays lineup. That one's drilled in the left field, and a diving play attempted there, but unable to secure it is Jose Martinez. So a 2-out single from Randall Grichuk.
A guy not known especially well for his glove out there. Lays out, tries to make the catch, puts in great effort. One of the reasons we saw him at DH yesterday, because his bat's really what gets him in the lineup, but good hustle, doesn't quite pull that one in.
Looked like it hit almost the wrist of Martinez there, just wasn't able to get his glove on it. Still a good effort by him to block that ball, and if that got past him, that could have definitely been 2, maybe even 3 bases. So now the 0-1 to the designated hitter today, Vlad Guerrero Jr. He is hitless in this series.
He had a great start to his season and a strong homestand, but since he's come to Tampa, hasn't been able to deal with either of the two strong aces that we saw from Tampa Bay.
In terms of philosophy from Morton, I notice a lot of fastballs here, and the off-speed tends to be, kind of that curveball low. As that one's hit right up the middle, there's Vlad Guerrero Jr.'s very first hit of this series. Comes at a pretty good time here in the first. 2 on and 2 out now.
Well, you're talking about the pitch mix. This one's a splitter that just stays up a little too much. He was getting the curveball down beneath the knees where it needs to stay, but that splitter catches too much of the zone. Vladimir Guerrero stays on it, times it up perfectly, and sends it right back where it came from, up the middle into center field.
So Shaw then dings one into right. Is it fair? Oh, it is! A 3-run shot for Travis Shaw. Wraps one around the pole out there and right. His 7th on the season, his 2nd of the series. And the Jays are up quick here.
Didn't take very long for the Jays to put together 3 runs. What started as a harmless little inning with a quick strikeout and a soft ground ball, all of a sudden 2 hits drop in front of outfielders, and Travis Shaw gets this one just over the wall and just inside that foul pole. A nice sweet swing to pull that one and gets just enough of it to sneak it out here over that right field wall.
Shaw now 2 for 8 with a walk in this series. Both of his hits, home runs. Tells you a lot about the player. And a good one at that. He's got the Jays a big lead here as Teoscar Hernandez steps in.
There's a reason he's in the middle of the lineup despite having a batting average in the 200s. You get a couple guys on base and hit one out of the park and jump starts your whole offense here.
Morton working ahead of Hernandez here, but yeah, just back to that home run. Really good job with 2 away for both Grichuk and Guerrero Jr. to grind out a couple singles. Some good pitches to hit, and then Shaw makes no mistake. And that's why, as you mentioned, Drew, you have him in the middle of the lineup. Interesting note, Shaw playing third base today.
First time of the year we're seeing him at third base. We've seen Guerrero Jr. there, we've seen Drury, and today Shaw, who played a lot of third base in 2019 with the Brewers, and throughout his career before that is making his first appearance there. He's playing at the other corner, first for almost all of his starts, but a little different look today with Rowdy Tellez now on the team.
So Hernandez strikes out. Morton is able to get through the inning, but not before surrendering a 3-run shot to right from Travis Shaw. And the Blue Jays are up early in this rubber match of this 3-game set. 3-0 here at the Trop. Well, welcome back to the Tropicana Field here on the Virtual Jays Network. Jays are up 3-0, and the man who's going to try to keep that lead for them is Matt Shoemaker today.
Matt Shoemaker, a phenomenal start to his season, a guy that's been a real standout in this Jays rotation, an ERA coming in at 1.05 through over 25 innings of work. He's going to face a very talented Rays lineup here today, but between Ryu and Shoemaker, a surprising new 1-2 punch at the top of the Jays lineup. I'm sure people expected Shoemaker to bounce back, but not as much as he's shown so far this year. A real star in his first 4 starts.
And the first hitter he'll face is Joey Wendell, who starts off with a strike. A left-handed hitter, DHing once again. He was off yesterday. But on Friday, in the opener of this series, he went 0 for 4, a couple strikeouts. So he gets a day off his feet, but we'll see what he can get up to today. And 0-2 now, ball 1 to the DH.
Got the day off against the lefty yesterday. Back in here as another righty takes the mound for the Jays.
And as we've noted a couple times this series, a very lefty-heavy lineup. So it's pretty tough against righties. Although even Hyunjin Ryu had some struggles yesterday against this lineup. It's crafty, man. They really play that mentality of next man up because they don't have a ton of power, especially with Hunter Renfroe on the bench today.
and there isn't one guy they count on for 40 or 50 home runs. There's a handful of guys that can get in the upper 20s or into the 30s, but that's a whole part of the buy-in and all-for-one team effort.
As Wendell walks there, take a look at the pitch sequence here. And trying to go low is Shoemaker, and we notice he just misses a couple times there. Mainly that 5th pitch, I think, really missed inside. He wanted that one.
In each of the last 4 pitches there, all of them the splitter that he goes to it in a fastball count, but he'll also go to it really in any count. He's got a lot of trust in it, and very similar to Charlie Morton. I mean, we teased at the end of last broadcast. Get ready to see a whole lot of splitters today because it's the bread and butter pitch for both pitchers on the mound today.
And you talk about guys in this lineup who can hit 20 to 30 home runs on occasion. One of them is Jose Martinez here. And he's DH'd yesterday and went 1 for 2 with a home run and a couple walks.
And we saw him make a diving attempt in the top of the inning out in left field. Coming over from the National League, of course, not someone accustomed to being in the DH role, but that's what Tampa kind of acquired him with the position in mind. So a guy that maybe defense wasn't so strong for him, and a reason that he wasn't getting as many at-bats in St. Louis with the Cardinals. But here with the Rays, he'll have an option where maybe he'll play in the field 100 or so games, maybe a bit less, maybe a bit more, but is able to take some days to DH and just focus on hitting.
Hit 17 home runs in 2018, just 10 last year, but certainly a guy who can dial up some power, and the potential to hit, 20, 25 home runs is still there, I think, because of that raw power, and especially a division like this.
And last year, I mean, a big reason for that is he only saw 300 at-bats, 334, put out 10 home runs, a full season. Interesting to see what he can do.
As he strikes out there, tried to check his swing late, but he went. And that outside pitch gets him.
Nice sequencing there. The bounce back from. We took a deeper look at the sequencing of the first at bat where he kind of seemed to lose control. This time almost effectively wild as that slider went well outside of the zone, but in a good enough spot to induce the swing.
So here's Austin Meadows. 4 home runs on the season, 2 of which came on Friday, as he fouls off that first pitch from Shoemaker. And Meadows, a guy who, really pure power, but he's played right field all 3 days. 1 for 4 yesterday with a double, a pretty significant one as it drove in an RBI.
It'll be a big assignment here for Shoemaker, a guy that really feasted off of Thornton earlier in the series, and a similar profile righty here on the mound in Shoemaker for him to size up today.
So 1-2 as Shoemaker misses on his 0-2 offering. And a good job by Shoemaker to get ahead here. That one's chopped up right back towards the mound. Jansen fields and quickly has to throw to get him, but he actually can't get Meadows. He's safe on the play. It's going to be ruled a base hit, but wow, some real miscommunication it appeared to be from Jansen and Shoemaker on who was going to field that ball there.
You can see Jansen pause as he stands up to take his mask off, and then even when he fields it, almost a double pump before he releases that pitch over the over the first base, and just a bang play, but you can see on the slow-mo there, clearly safe. So Shoemaker not out of this bottom of the first yet.
A very close one. I mean, without that little delay, then Meadows is definitely out. Not exactly a burner. But alas, Brendan Lowe will step up now. 246 on the year with 2 runners on and just 1 away.
Big moment for him here. The Rays already down by 3. Not too big of a deficit by any means, but of course, to give your pitcher some confidence, you want to chip into that lead as early as you can. And you see the pop-up there. 0 for 4 yesterday. 4 strikeouts, 2 more strikeouts Friday night. Not a great start to his series.
As he fouls that one off down the line. So 1-2. Shoemaker once again getting ahead. And a really good test for Shoemaker here in the first inning as well. As that one's taken outside, ball number 2. Lowe looking to strike with a runner in scoring position here. Trying to mount a rally, perhaps, as that one is taken to the inside part of the plate for a called strike number 3.
Beautiful spot on the fastball there. Right in on the hands at the top corner of the zone. Picks his spot, and he wasn't locating against Wendell. Ended up walking him here. He's locked in a little bit as Lau goes down again with a strikeout.
Choi fouls that one off to start his at-bat. Hitting .242 on the year and batting 5th today. So he's trusted to have some power in the middle of the order. Another lefty as well. Takes low ball 1.
Choi puts together a lot of quality at-bats because he's got great hand-eye coordination to put the barrel on the ball and great discipline, as you saw him lay off a pitch there for the first ball of the at-bat just 2 pitches ago.
Now 5 strikeouts in the last 2 games in this series for Choi, but also 3 base hits, all singles. So the count remains 1-2.
With 2 runners on, you won't see it in this at-bat, but 2 of those singles came against the shift where he dribbled it right down the line. Here they're playing straight away, though, with the base runners.
Shoemaker nibbling at the corners of the zone, and Choi's trying to battle, keeps fouling them off. Shoemaker trying to escape this inning. The 1-2 is called strike 3. Similar pitch that got low, high, and inside. So 3 strikeouts for Shoemaker in the first. Navigates around some trouble. And it's 3-0 Toronto. I want to welcome back Virtual Jays Network, Jackson Farough alongside Drew Frank. In the final game of this, what has been a very fun road trip down to Florida, we've seen lots of home runs, lots of hitting in general. We've already seen a home run in this game. Travis Shaw hit a 3-run bomb back in the first, right around the right field pole to put the Jays up 3-0 here. And so it'll be Danny Jansen, who himself had a home run in yesterday's contest. And that one's hit down the third base line. It'll be fair. Martinez goes to field, and Jansen will come around, cruise into slide into second base, and a leadoff double for the catcher.
Danny Jansen does a great job there. Down 0-2 quickly. Takes a pitch that gets a lot of the plate. Probably too much of the plate for an 0-2 pitch, but manages to pull that one right down the line and get a leadoff double as the Jays, already with 3 runs on the board, are cooking here again in the second.
2 for 3 with a walk was Jansen yesterday, and 0 for 1 on Friday with 2 walks. So reaching base plenty is the catcher, the newly minted 25-year-old. And now we'll see Rowdy Tellez at the plate, playing defensively in the field for the Jays for the first time this season. At first. That's the ball. 0-1 taken for ball number 1 now.
It'll be interesting to see what Montoyo does now with a handful of options at first base. We've seen Drury, Shaw, and now Tellez there. Shaw has played most of his career at third base. He's appeared in over 400 games there, well, over just around 100 at first. So Montoyo's got options.
So Tellez fouls that one off. And it's 1-2 now. Morton getting ahead. You mentioned options. There sure are. And it's both a benefit and a bit of a negative because you don't have, consistent established players at a lot of different positions. But I think that's the reality of kind of managing a bit of a younger team and an experienced one at that. 1-2 to Tellez is ripped. Foul down the line.
Fastball in the inner half there. Tellez was ready for it. just a little out in front as he gets that one right into the stands.
And he takes on the inside corner for strike number 3. So 3 Ks on the day for Morton, and Tellez doesn't like the call.
And what sets him up there as he throws the fastball on the inner corner is the use of the splitter that drops late. Tellez expected that one to drop right off below the knees, but instead of a splitter, that was a fastball. Just stays right where it is and catches him bottom corner of the zone. Great pitch sequence there.
Tellez 1 for 3 on Friday when he DH'd, his first and only appearance so far this season other than today. He, in fact, was the only hit for the Jays in that entire game. Tyler Glasnow and the Rays bullpen was fantastic. As Bichette is quickly in an 0-2 count here.
Bichette 1 for 4 yesterday in his first appearance in the 9-hole. Singled and got to second, wasn't able to come around to score.
Takes that curveball well outside for ball number 1. Yeah, and he was moved down to the 9-hole from the leadoff position. And once again, in at shortstop. And he had 1 base hit yesterday. So we'll see perhaps if that opens the gates a little bit for him as he swings and misses there on that low in the zone pitch. 4 strikeouts for Morton here.
Right over top of a slider. Yesterday, we mentioned he had the single, but he also had a pair of strikeouts in that game, both of them swinging, and that's really what's done him in so far at the plate this season. The swing and miss, almost at-bat by at-bat. You'd see him chasing pitches, or in that case, just whiffing on pitches that catch a lot of the plate as that slider did.
Yep, certainly early on, but Bichette will be looking to work on his approach at the plate in the next series up against Boston for sure. So it's Kevin Biggio, leadoff hitter, struck out back in the first. And now he's in a 1-1 count with a runner on second and 2 away here. So after chancing to get the leadoff double, a couple strikeouts from Tellez and Bichette have him stuck there for now. Curveball misses inside, ball 2.
We saw this actually in the 3rd inning Friday night. It was Tellez who had a leadoff double, and then a strike, and then 3 straight strikeouts to strike out the side with a Jansen walk in there, but the 3 strikeouts to leave the runner on second despite reaching in scoring position with none out. And that was a game where the Jays couldn't get anything across. A little bit different here, but still, baseball fundamentals say a runner on second with none out, you gotta get him over at the very least and try and get him in.
So Biggio takes high in the zone for strike 2, and then swings on the low off-speed pitch there, it appeared to be, from Charlie Morton. So Biggio 2 strikeouts on the day now. Jansen is stranded at second. Remains 3-0 here at the Trop. Welcome back to Tropicana Field here in St. Petersburg, Florida. It is the 3rd game of this weekend series between the Jays and the Rays. Both teams have taken 1 game apiece, and both teams want this one, that's for sure. Even early on, these AL East matchups, well, they all mean the same on the standings no matter when you played them. And Yandy Diaz steps in and takes a first pitch strike from Shoemaker here.
Diaz hit the ball real hard yesterday, but it actually ended the inning as he lined it right over to the first baseman, who fielded it, stepped on first to double off runners, and what was one of the Rays' big chances to get ahead late in that game. Instead, even though he sliced that ball hard down the line, just wrong spot as Shaw fielded it and ended the inning. So tough break for him there, as that was one of the Rays' big chances to come back in the game they eventually ended up losing.
And Shoemaker hits him with a pristine slider there, so 1-2 now. Speaking of hitting, Diaz has been hit twice in this series already. Once on Friday by Thornton and once yesterday from an off-speed pitch by Hyunjin Ryu. So the 1-2, the leadoff hitter in this inning, Diaz, fouls it off and stays alive.
Both times he was hit, he wasn't able to get past first base. You always want to have the last laugh by coming around to score against the pitcher, but it wasn't the case.
And he strikes out there, so the leadoff hitter is retired.
And Shoemaker just dials up a fastball. He doesn't throw it overly hard per se. He'll peak out around 92 or 93, but low in the zone with the downward plane. Throws that right at the knees, and Diaz looking for something off speed or maybe even the splitter in the 80s as he throws that fastball in the 90s right by him there.
So it'll be Mike Zunino now, the 7-hitter for the Rays today. We've seen him in all 3 games. Quietly, a little 4-game hitting streak here is the former Mariner. And he strikes out on 3 pitches there from Shoemaker, not messing around, at least in this inning. Now back-to-back strikeouts here.
And 5 already, with 5 batters retired. Every single one coming via the strikeout. He struck out the side in the first with some runners allowed in the mix there, but got all 3 on the strikeout. Now quickly, he's got 2 strikeouts and is already 1 strike up on Kiermaier.
Some good sequencing for sure, and Shoemaker will look to continue this, as he'll take on Kevin Kiermaier, 3-time Gold Glover. As he drills that one over to first, Tellez is able to field it and make the play. So no early defensive jitters for Tellez. As we head now to the 3rd inning, it remains 3-0 Jays here on the virtual Jays Network. Hello everyone and welcome back to the Virtual Jays Network. So top 3rd now, we'll see Lourdes Gurriel Jr., Randall Grichuk, and Vlad Guerrero Jr. 2, 3, 4 hitters for the Jays up here in this inning, and Charlie Morton starts Gurriel off with a high fastball in the zone, strike 1.
We've seen strikeouts everywhere as Morton, he's gotten 5 already, and Shoemaker's got 5 already, and we're only through the 2nd inning.
Lots of whiffs so far, and 2 guys who certainly like to use the fastball, so it makes it ever more surprising. But also 2 guys who have had some late career renaissances, more so Morton, I think. Ball 2. So the fastball misses high, ball number 2 now.
Well, Morton's rebirth here is very closely tied to the use of the fastball you mentioned. After a few solid years with the Pirates and the Phillies and some pretty good work as more of a middle of the rotation arm, when he went to Houston, they really emphasized the use of his fastball. And we've seen similar things with Verlander and Garrett Cole, but the reliance on the fastball to really set up your other pitches and trust it in big spots is what really helped Morton to rejuvenate his whole career.
And he gets another strikeout here on Gurriel Jr. Inside pitch. Right in on the hands, gets him to go. So 6 Ks on the day now for Morton.
And a perfect example of what we were talking about right there. Full count with no runners on base. You can afford to challenge him with whatever you want. You can leave the zone and try and induce a chase if you really want to. But nope, he sticks with the fastball, using it in just about every count. In on the hands there, challenges him at 96, and it pays off, as it has for him over the past few years.
Yeah, last year Charlie Morton had his best season, arguably. As that one is driven into left field. Grichuk drills that one back, and it is gone. So a 3rd home run on the season for this center fielder. And he's now 2 for 2 in the day. It's a 4-0 ball game here.
Grichuk got things going in the first with a 2-out single that started what ended up being a 3-run rally courtesy to Travis Shaw's big home run, but Grichuk adds a home run himself. We've seen that swing as he's hit quite a few home runs already. He's a power-first outfielder, and this is kind of what the Jays are paying him to do as he pulls this one into the left field seats. It's another home run for Grichuk, and that's the 4th run of the game for the Jays already.
And the 2nd home run for the Jays here in this game alone. And yes, Grichuk 3rd on the year now. Seen some pop from this lineup, but not as much as of late. Although yesterday they put 5 runs on the board, and today they've already got 4. As Vlad Guerrero Jr. steps up to the plate, and he's in an 0-2 count. Good take outside for ball number 1. Morton looking to recover here, as Guerrero Jr. is going to battle him a bit. But as I was mentioning, yes, Morton, his career best season back last season. He had 16 wins. That's a career high. 3.05 ERA, a career low, I suppose. Same thing with the whip, 1.084. And a career high innings pitched, 194 and 2/3. So Tampa really getting the most out of their money, and they need that in this kind of market.
And that's exactly why he came 3rd in Cy Young voting. Surprise candidate right behind the 2 Astros stars. Guy a lot of people didn't expect to be that high.
As that one is flown into right field, Meadows is there to make the play.
The third baseman, number 6.
So 2 away now for Travis Shaw, who his last time up had himself a 3-run homer.
And it just got out over the wall, and it just stayed fair. He picked the corner perfectly as he nailed that one out on what was another line drive type home run, more than a fly ball even. We've seen that from him a lot this season. He's got a very even swing that cuts across the zone smoothly. Not as true of an uppercut as a lot of powerful first basemen, or in this case third basemen, have, but it's worked quite well for him so far.
The 0-2. Curveball taken inside there. Yeah, and I mean, you talk about Morton finishing 3rd in voting behind 2 Houston Astros. And when he was with Houston, I mean, those rotations were incredible. You got Cole, you got Verlander, and Morton, and even other guys. I mean, Houston's had Dallas Keuchel in their past. They've had Zach Greinke. It's really been just a lot of incredible pitchers through that organization. But it's 4-0 Jays here as we wrap up the top of the 3rd, and we'll head to the bottom right after this. Well, everyone, and welcome back, VJN, as we take a look here at some of the Rays' hitting statistics from the start of the season, and true, it hasn't been great.
And they're going to need to turn things around fast. Already down 4, there is a ton of time left in this game, as we're only in the middle of the 3rd inning, but yeah, a lot of 14ths and 15ths there, and of course, only 15 teams in the American League, so none of those numbers are overly flattering, but they've got 9-1-2 here as Robertson, in his first at-bat of the series, tries to get on board to set the table for the big bats.
And low run scoring hasn't really been a problem for the Rays in this series yet. They had 4 in the first game and 4 in the second, as that one is hit in the left field. But yeah, we've seen some low on base percentage from them this season, obviously low runs. And we'll see if maybe this series could be some kind of spark for them. But Daniel Robertson, his first appearance in this series, and he gets himself a base hit.
And in the first 2 games, an interesting trend where both in games 1 and games 2, the 9-hitter reached more than the leadoff hitter. The leadoff hitters for the first 2 games combined 0 for 8, yet to reach base. And the bottom of the order guys, the 9-hitters have reached base 3 times. So now we'll see if Wendell, who is half of that 0 for 8, he went 0 for 4 in the first game, as we mentioned, with a pair of strikeouts, if he can kind of, bounce back from that and try and do something now that there is a man on base for him.
The DH hitting 197 on the year. Takes a strike on the inside part of the plate. Had a walk back in the first. And only ended up getting as far as second as Shoemaker was able to navigate around that trouble. Two and one to the lefty Wendell. Swings and fouls it off. Wendell just a 633 OPS last year. He hits that one right back up the middle. Bichette fields the second for 1 and the first for 2. With the double play, gets rid of Robertson on the base paths and also has 2 outs now. Good little play from Bichette, the shortstop.
And look at the quick transition up the middle. Bichette flips it right out of his glove, and a very quick snatch at second to turn that one. Throw the first, and they get Wendell by about a step and a half there, as 2 now are cleaned up on some nice infielding by the Jays.
Very quick turn by the Blue Jays middle infield, the young middle infield at that. Jose Martinez, left fielder, steps up, fouls one off, 0-1. Had a strikeout back in the first.
Outside, that's the ball.
Changeup misses outside.
No, that's low.
Talk a little bit about Martinez's power hitting capability. We had one last game. He had a home run, I should say, last game, and also a couple of walks. And he's been hitting in the 2-hole, I've noticed, in this lineup now all 3 days. Interesting enough, it's clear they want to really see what he's got at the top of the lineup, but is he kind of a prototypical 2-hitter, or would you have him a bit lower?
Well, he provides some nice contact and power, so 2-hole makes sense because right around 300, you want someone that's going to be able to hit there, not just for power.
Gets a strikeout there. Now 2 on the day for him as Shoemaker, after a leadoff single from Robertson, is able to induce a double play as well as a strikeout. Just 2 hits on the day for the Rays as we head to the 4th here in St. Pete. Well, everyone, and welcome back. Some afternoon baseball here at Tropicana Field. And it's, of course, the rubber match between the Jays and the Rays. So, if you just tuned in, it's currently 4-0 Toronto off of a couple home runs. Travis Shaw had a 3-run shot back in the first. And then just last inning, Randall Grichuk with a 1-out shot to left. Really no doubter. And so here we are. Charlie Morton, now his 62nd pitch is in there for a strike to Hernandez, but 4-0 Jays.
And he starts Hernandez off with a fastball middle. Not giving any grounds, coming right at him with the heat.
Real statement pitch there from the right-hander. As the 0-1 is driven over to third. Play is made, and the throw is good. So Diaz is able to make a good defensive play ranging to his left there. So now it'll be Danny Jansen, who had a leadoff double back in the second.
And the 4 runs on the board already for the Jays is continuing off of a couple shaky starts from Charlie Morton. His last appearance, he got the quality start, giving up 3 runs over 6 innings. The Rays lost that game 5-0. 2 of those 3 runs came via solo home runs, as the Indians were able to leave the yard a couple times against him at Progressive Field. And before that, he couldn't finish the 6th inning. He went 5 2/3, giving up 5 runs against Boston. And the big dagger was former Blue Jay Kevin Pillar, who hit a grand slam off of him.
Count was 2-1.
So some shakiness from him, but he's been shaky in this game as well. But still, he's a guy who's improved throughout his whole career. And so that's why it's a little staggering. Although he is obviously later on in his career, so perhaps it's just a bit of him starting to regress. So the catcher Jansen in a 3-1 count with one away. Swings on that one right up the middle. So now it's a full count. .68 pitches for Morton, and that one misses high, so a 1-out walk to Danny Jansen, who remains 1 for 1 on the day. He's reached twice.
Now batter.
And so now it'll be Rowdy Tellez, the power-hitting lefty.
Tellez struck out in his first at-bat, frozen by a fastball down at the knees that caught just the corner of the zone. It seemed like he was looking for either a breaking ball or read it as a splitter. And it hung up in the zone just enough to get him looking. So now he's going to want to come and at least get the bat off the shoulder here.
Tellez, a 30th round pick, as you see there back in 2013, and really worked his way through the system. That was at a high school. We'll see if Morton comes back with that pitch right on the inside corner, just like he did in the last appearance, like froze Tellez for the strikeout. One swung on, and that'll be past the second baseman Lau. So now first and second, 1 on for Bo Bichette here.
And again, more trouble from Morton. He's yet to have a clean inning so far this game. 4th inning, 2 runners on already. In the first and third, he allowed a run to score. Second, it was a double from Jansen. Here in the 4th, again, a runner in scoring position. And Bo Bichette gets yet another opportunity with runners in scoring position to try and get something back in what has been a forgettable season so far.
And you can see there just a 156 slugging percentage, 200 on base percentage. The fact that he was their leadoff hitter for such a long time, I mean, that tells you enough right there. Then just 111 in the year with runners in scoring position. Quickly 0-2 here. And the struggles continue for Bo Bichette. 2 strikeouts on the day swinging. Morton with 7 Ks, but another wasted opportunity for the young shortstop.
And it's still early on the season. We're in just the 3rd week of April. Just about 20 games into the season for Bo Bichette, so there's lots of time left. But I think one of the reasons you see him demoted is you read out the triple slash, and there wasn't anything necessarily redeeming. This guy at the plate, Cavan Biggio, his bat wasn't quite going too hot off the top of the year, but his on-base percentage is going to stay steady. He's got a great eye at the plate, and that's valuable for a leadoff man, and I think he fits this role nicely here on the team.
Especially, as a lefty bat when you're facing a right-handed pitcher. And something the Jays don't have a ton of, although more so now than in recent years, is some lefty bats. As we see Biggio 2 strikeouts on the day. Now in a 1-2 count. Fastball misses high, evens up the count at 2. Two also misses high, so now a full count to Biggio, number 1 hitter. Gurriel Jr.'s on deck. He's 0 for 2 on the day. Led off the 3rd with a strikeout. Let's see what Biggio has in store. Here with 2 on and 2 out. Fouls that one off, so he'll continue to run that pitch count for Morton, who's up to 81 as that bullpen gets warming. Runners will go. Payoff is called outside. Ball number 4 to Cavan Biggio. That was a close one. He's trying to nip the corner and just couldn't quite get it.
Very bold take there with 2 on and 2 out to be not offering at that pitch with 2 strikes on you, but it pays off as now the bases are loaded and the guy who delivered the winning double in yesterday's game has a chance.
Yes, Lourdes Gurriel Jr., a couple RBI off that double last game. Ultimately helped the Jays get the win, 5-4. And the 0-1 from Morton misses outside for ball 1. Yeah, tough outing for Morton here. One of a few now to start this season. He hasn't looked great. But a 1-2 count to the left fielder, Gurriel Jr. The 2 on, and the base is loaded. He just gets the strikeout there, so Morton gets a much-needed out and is able to escape the 4th without surrendering a run despite loading the bases. Jays leave 3 on as we head to the bottom of the 4th on the virtual Jays Network. Virtual Jays Network, Jackson Farough alongside Drew Frank here at Tropicana Field in St. Petersburg, Florida. Some nice weather today on this 1 p.m. start, so we get a little afternoon sun, although of course we can't see it as this is a closed dome stadium. All the rain and hurricanes and all the crazy weather here. And so it's Austin Meadows at the plate. Starts off with 2 balls from Shoemaker, who has looked in control, I think is a good word to say throughout this game. Not perfect by any means. He had 1 clean inning, which was the second. A couple base runners here and there, but he's been pretty good.
And he's been inducing a lot of ground balls. The single that was allowed to Meadows in his first at-bat, a little dribbler out in front of the plate, and then in the last inning, the single he was able to erase with a timely grounder.
Of course, 6 strikeouts already in the game as well. And now he's in a full count against Austin Meadows, who had a single back in the first. Sprays that one in the left, and it'll sail foul into the bullpen party area, which sounds fun. Full count to the right fielder, Meadows. Taken outside. Jansen was set up outside. And so ball 4 gets Meadows to walk. He's reached twice today.
Number 8.
Second walk of the day, and you never want to walk the leadoff hitter in an inning, but against Meadows, I mean, not the worst case scenario. That ball that he fouled off, that would have been extra bases if it landed fair. There was no one in sight with the shift, so you'll take him on first base, but now a little bit of trouble as Brandon Lau comes up with none out and just a little bit of speed on first base in Meadows.
Lau, as we've talked about, struggling in this series. He struck out looking back in the first. Once again, playing second base and batting cleanup. So, lots of faith from the Rays managing staff here.
This series with the strikeout in his first at-bat, he's 0 for 8 with 7 strikeouts. Very tough series.
And a really good take with 2 strikes right in the inside part of the plate. Or I should say just inside of the plate as it's ball 2. And he strikes out swinging on that very same pitch there. 2 strikeouts on the day for Lau.
Well, you mentioned at the top of the at-bat, interesting that he stays in the cleanup spot. This is a team that hasn't had much going offensively all year long. We put up that stat board showing their offensive struggles. I mean, if you look at runs scored, they're 29th in the major leagues, and you've got to wonder why we haven't seen more of a shakeup.
That ball gets away from Jansen, so Meadows advances to second now.
That one goes right through the legs of Jansen. Well, they scored a wild pitch against Shoemaker as it just got down too early and inside. He tries to block it, isn't able to get down in time, and that changeup will find the backstop as Meadows scampers into scoring position.
So G-Man Choi, who also struck out looking back in the first, pops it up in a foul territory. Third baseman Shaw over there, and he'll make the play. So 2 away now, and a runner on second is Austin Meadows for Yandy Diaz, who also struck out in the second as part of a 4 straight batters who struck out to Shoemaker. 2 in the first, and then 2 to start the second. Wow.
Inside, ball 1.
Pitch taken inside by Diaz there. So ball 1. A pretty big at bat here for Shoemaker with the runner in scoring position. He's been able to get out of some jams so far in this one. Not really jams, but these kind of situations in this game, in this one. Of course, 7 strikeouts. 1-1 to Diaz is drilled in the left field. It looks good. He flips his bat. And it is gone. Yandy Diaz's first home run of the season cuts this deficit for the Rays. It is now a 4-2 ball game.
A big 2-out home run for Diaz. Capitalizes on the base runner from the leadoff walk as Meadows took a free pass, and Diaz makes Shoemaker pay for that one. This ball just crushed. Diaz led the Rays last year in average exit velocity. Dings this one right off the foul pole, and Shoemaker knew that it had the distance right off the bat to go out of the yard.
Up next for Tampa Bay.
3 home runs so far in the game now for both teams. All of the runs have been scored on home runs. Where have I heard that before? Well, the last couple of games it's been very similar.
Oh, that's off the field.
As it's a 1-1 count to the catcher Zunino. So the crowd getting up on their feet a little bit, making some noise. Shoemaker's just gonna need to get dialed back in. He was doing really well before that home run, and we'll see how he can fare after now.
1 ball, 2 strikes, count.
As Zunino swings and misses on that fastball in the zone. 1-2 to the catcher. Swung on, driven into left field. That one's going back. Gurriel Jr. watches it, and that one will go into the seats. 2 straight home runs back to back for the Tampa Bay Rays. Zunino's second shot of the year, 430 feet to left.
The first home run came off of a fastball where it was power versus power, and Diaz just got all of it. This one was a slider that hung up over the middle of the zone, and Zunino doesn't miss it one bit, stays right in on it, and we've seen him strike out a couple times this series because that's what he's been his whole career. He'll swing and miss, but when he connects, you can see that one flying right out of the yard in no time. He has the power that you'll love to see as a manager, because at the bottom of the order, a guy like that can do some serious damage real quick, as now it's just a 1-run game.
And tons of home runs in this series now. Kevin Kiermaier 0 for 1 in the day. You're looking to complete the trifecta, I suppose, after back-to-back shots. 2-0, and yes, what we're seeing from Shoemaker is him missing his spots now as we get later into his outing. And now a really close game here at the Trop.
Tell you what, the Jays offense definitely feeling a little worse about stranding the bases loaded in the top half of the inning. Maybe it doesn't look as bad to do that when it's a 4-0 game, but now 4-3, that could be a major turning point in the game as the Rays were able to get out of that jam with no damage done.
So the 3-1 to the center fielder Kiermaier is fouled off to make this a full count now. A payoff pitch with 2 away. Struck him out there on that fastball. So after back-to-back home runs, Shoemaker's able to escape the inning, getting a swinging strikeout. But it's a 4-3 ball game all of a sudden as we head to the 5th. Hello everyone and welcome back. You see Randall Grichuk in now against Charlie Morton, who's back out there for his 5th inning of work. He's thrown now 87 pitches and has really struggled, especially against the deep ball. All runs by the Jays have been scored off the deep ball. So, similar case for the Rays, by the way. Every single run in this game has been scored off the long ball, but a 3-run shot for Shaw in the first and a home run by this man right here, Randall Grichuk. Back in his last plate appearance in the third. He's 2 for 2 on the day. Takes that one outside, puts him ahead in the count, 2-1 now.
Some action in the Rays pen. Last year, we didn't see Morton go over 108 pitches in any of his outings. Mentioned he put up a career high in innings pitched. That wasn't because necessarily he was throwing 130, 140 pitches a game. He was just effective with his pitches, kept the pitch counts low, and was able to go deep into games. As we're seeing it climb up to 90 already, this might be his last inning of work here in the 5th if he can get through it clean.
3-1 to Grichuk. It's taken on the inside part of the plate, and Grichuk thought he might have himself a walk. But he'll have to stay at the plate here, now full count. That time, it's inside and called a ball, so Grichuk heads to first, and it'll be Vlad Guerrero Jr., who had a single back in the first. He's 1 for 2 in the day. Came in to score back in the first off of the shot from Shaw.
And his single in the first came with 2 outs following Grichuk's 2-out single, kept the inning alive and brought Shaw up to the plate. If either of them weren't able to reach base, then this game would be completely different because it was their clutch 2-out singles that even allowed Shaw to come up with runners on base.
0 for 4 yesterday with a walk is Guerrero Jr. as he pops that one over the first base side. Choi is there. Makes the play, so 1 away now as designated hitter Vlad Guerrero Jr. is retired. And it'll be the 3-run home run man from the first, Travis Shaw, playing third today.
And his only 2 base hits of the series are both home runs. But as you mentioned, that's really been the story for a lot of this series, where it's been the home run that gets things done, and we haven't seen a whole lot. Well, we haven't seen any today, but throughout the course of the series, we haven't seen much at all where it's sequencing hits together or small ball. It's really just been those big blasts.
Shaw leading this young Jays team with 7 home runs on the year. That ties his total from the entire season last year.
1-1.
Whiffs on that 2-seamer outside. Evens up the count at 1 now.
When the Jays signed him to a 1-year deal, it was only 1 year because, again, as you mentioned, last year, it just wasn't there results-wise at the plate. Already showing signs that he's bouncing back and he could cash in on himself as he bet on himself a little bit with just signing a 1-year deal in Toronto. And so far, so good for signs of a rebirth at the plate in 2020.
And a good bet for the Jays, too, who I'm sure will have lots of suitors come July, perhaps even earlier. As that one sounded beautiful off the bat. It's driven to dead center. Kiermaier at the track, and he's able to make the catch.
That one, he gave it a ride out to the deepest part of the park here at Tropicana Field, dead center. And Kiermaier ranges all the way back and able to haul it in. Shaw just about had his second one here today.
That sound off the bat is the type that pitchers hear in their nightmares, that's for sure. So 2 out. Runner on first for Teoscar Hernandez, who singles that one right through the middle. So now 2 on and 2 out.
Nice piece of hitting for Teoscar Hernandez, a guy that, similar to Shaw in some ways, where he's left the yard a couple times and delivered big doubles and such, but hasn't found that consistent stroke to hit for much average. It's a beautiful piece of hitting, hits it right back where it came from, up the middle, and will reach base with a 2-out single and set the bases now for one of the Jays' hottest hitters in Danny Jansen.
Yes, 1 for 1 on the day with a walk. Had a home run yesterday. Last night, pardon me. I think one of the bigger stats is that number you see right there, 417 with runners in scoring position. And that's vital from a team that's They're still trying to really figure out what this lineup is and where certain hitters slot in. Well, we know that Jansen is reliable in the clutch, at least early on.
And we're seeing him in the 7th hole, and despite his numbers, the Jays haven't rushed to move him up anywhere near cleanup or getting too far ahead of themselves. But even at 7th, behind some of the bigger bats, there's going to be guys on base, as you see Shaw in front of him and guys like Teoscar Hernandez and Drury some days, where they're quality hitters themselves that will set the table for Jansen down near the bottom of the order.
3-1 to the catcher. Swings on that low splitter. Makes us a full count. Runners will go. And so will Jansen. Back to the dugout after that strikeout. Morton once again working around some trouble here. He's up over 100 pitches, but he's also through 5. It's 4-3 Jays. Well, welcome back, Virtual Jays Network. Jackson Farough alongside Drew Frank in the broadcast booth here at Tropicana Field. And it's Daniel Robertson making his series debut. 7 for 26 on the year, and very versatile infielder. Today he's at shortstop, as Willie Adames gets a day off. He's been struggling a little bit in this series. And Robertson singled back in the 3rd.
That single was placed just between the shortstop and the third baseman, reached into left field, and he got on base to start that 3rd inning, but then the very next batter, Wenzel, grounded into a double play to erase his single.
Shoemaker picks the bottom part of the zone there. Fastball evens up the count at 1. Robertson slaps one over in the left field over the head of Shaw. So that'll be a double as Robertson slides in. Just to lead things off here in the 5th for the Rays.
Great start for his day today. Slices that one down the line, and he'll sneak all the way into second base. Gurriel's got a strong arm to throw it in, but that one gets all the way into the corner, and now a runner in scoring position, second base, none out. We saw the Jays have this exact same opportunity, and they were not able to get anything from it. We'll see if the Rays, with the top of the order, can show them how it's done.
Wendell 0 for 1 in the day with a walk, ran to a double play back in the 3rd. Well, with nobody on yesterday, the top of the lineup has a real good chance here with some serious power coming up as well to potentially tie this thing up. Changeup misses outside, ball number 1. So with at least 2 lefties, 1 Wendell, and Meadows coming up as well potentially in this inning, what's the key for Shoemaker here if he wants to survive?
Well, for him, he's been able to get a ground ball, as mentioned last time against Wendell, and it'll be about staying down in the zone and not doing any damage by leaving pitches up and over the heart of the plate. Even that fastball you saw there, right on the inner half, it doesn't have to be down as long as it's not middle.
And commanding those pitches too. So the 2-2 taken just high for ball number 3 now. So a full count. Runner at second. Jose Martinez on deck. The payoff pitch is swung on, and that'll be into left field. It's a base hit. And Robertson's going to come around to score. It's a tie ball game off of a single from Joey Wendell.
Wendell comes through here, blooping this one over the shortstop's head, and a great read by Robertson. He knew right off the bat that this was going to get down, and he runs with contact, able to score all the way from second on the ball. Not hit overly hard or overly far, but great read, and he's in to tie this game up.
And the first run scored we've seen this game that hasn't been off of the long ball. So an RBI for Wendell, who's at first. Jose Martinez looks to build on this inning. It's been a productive one so far for the Rays.
Ball 1, no strike.
Martinez acquired in a win now move for the Rays that you don't see very often. Traded the starting pitcher prospect Matthew Liberatore, who top 50 prospect last year, a top 50 prospect again this year. So a relatively big price to pay, but they believe in the talent and they believe in the batting skills that Jose Martinez presents. He also won't be a free agent until 2023, so they've got some nice control there that's so important to this organization.
As that one slapped to the left, just sailed foul. That sliced right past the line, but that was close. So 1 to Martinez here. Now a tie ball game as that one is laced foul into the seats. But yes, you talk about control. You look up and down this lineup, there's lots of control. Whether it's Kiermaier, Meadows, Lau. Especially this man at the plate here. Martinez. Glasnow, starting pitcher. And Blake Snell they signed to a deal. They don't mess around here in Tampa. They know exactly what they are in terms of that small market that can spend a little bit of money, but their development is, second to none, really.
One of the reasons we saw a guy like Tommy Pham get traded out over the offseason for Hunter Renfroe. Not quite a 1-for-1 as other pieces came back to Tampa, including pretty nice shortstop prospect. But yeah, that deal was driven a lot because of the control.
That one is driven to the left field. The bat is thrown, and that ball is long gone. A 2-run shot for Jose Martinez. And Matt Shoemaker has completely unraveled here in the 5th. It's now a 6-4 Rays lead.
For everyone's safety, they extended the netting out to the foul pole. They might want to extend it a little further into those left field fans as they're just getting pelted with home run balls today. Another line drive as this ball gets well into the stands. Hit hard by Martinez. That one actually off of the foul pole, but I tell you what, if that foul pole wasn't there, that looked like it had another 50, 60, 70 feet left to travel as that one was getting out of here fast.
I'm sure those fans in the second deck are a little thankful, especially the ones that didn't bring gloves to the park today. So that'll be Shoemaker's day. What was looking to be a pretty good start, he was getting the strikeout working early. Fails to record an out in this inning, allows a double to leadoff hitter Robertson, a single to Wendell that drives in a run, and of course that 2-run shot to Martinez. So it'll be Shun Yamaguchi here to clean things up in the 5th.
And not what we were expecting to see from Shoemaker, who looked really strong, but now we'll see Yamaguchi, and he's an interesting pitcher here for the Jays because he pitched 3 perfect innings in Game 1 Friday night. He came in the 5th inning to relieve Trent Thornton, and then pitched the 5th, 6th, and 7th, going 9 up, 9 down, retiring these Rays in order.
And, you know, Dre, I gotta wonder, and I'm no manager, of course, you know that, but with 3 straight lefties coming up, and Meadows, Lau, Choi, why go to the righty?
Whoa, that's down.
Well, a big limitation in this Jays pen is the fact that Pannone is the only lefty out there. And of course, down 2 in the 5th, not exactly your highest leverage moment, so they want to see what Yamaguchi can get them here.
That was taken on the inside part of the plate, call it a strike. So Yamaguchi behind Meadows here, 3-1. And that one is sliced into the left field. Looks like that one will stay fair, and it will. It'll bounce over the wall. So a ground rule double here with nobody out for Austin Meadows to start off Yamaguchi's outing.
Number 8.
And he hit a similar ball in his last at-bat that we mentioned. If that got down fair, it could have done damage. It landed just a few feet foul last time. This time it's in fair territory, and it's a double. He'll trot in there standing up as it bounces over the wall, but certainly wouldn't have had any problems if that stayed in play because he was well into second and just showing the dangers of the shift there as that one hung up quite some time. You'd think a left fielder would normally be able to get over as Gurriel was close, but with the extreme shift on, he's free extra bases for Meadows.
That's out, 1-1.
Gets a strike in there to Lau, now 1-1. Lau 0 for 2, a couple strikeouts, and Yamaguchi can really use one here and gets ahead with that curveball.
And the other thing about Yamaguchi in to face the lefties, his splitter and /forkball pitch makes him quite effective against both-handedness. And we flashed his stats on the screen briefly when he came in. Righties are actually hitting 120 points higher than lefties so far in this early season against them.
Hold down. 3-2.
That off-speed misses low there. So full count, runner on second with Brandon Lau, the cleanup hitter. That one is swung on and hit into center field. Grichuk ranges to his right and makes the play. Meadows going to try to tag, and he will be safe. That's a close one at third. A good effort by Grichuk there.
A strong throw from center field is a bang-bang play at third base, and a nice read by Meadows, knowing that he can have a chance to get in there on a ball that wasn't hit overly deep. Definitely not a lock to tag up, but a strong read, and now he's just 90 feet away for Ji-Man Choi.
And so a good effort from Grichuk, but a better one from Meadows. Very heads-up play there, as that ball looked to be carrying, and Grichuk very nonchalantly reached out to grab it, but I'm surprised Meadows was not off on the play with the way that one was carrying. It looked like he was going to the gap. Nonetheless, Meadows is able to tag. He's at third now, which is one away for Ji-Man Choi. Choi turns 29 in May, and another guy with a high OPS. 822 last year, 19 home runs, 63 RBI as well. So, I was kind of harping on him a little bit earlier on about how questioning as to why he's the number 5 hitter in this lineup. Well, for somewhat valid reason. He hit 19 home runs last year. Gives this Rays team lots of versatility, and he strikes out swinging there.
That's a lethal pitch from Shun Yamaguchi. Huge break on that curveball. It comes in the high 60s, low 70s, and you can see Choi is way out in front of it as he was gearing up to crush a high fastball. Pulls the string on this one as the curveball loops in there, well behind the bat of Ji-Man Choi for his first strikeout of the day. First strikeout for Yamaguchi's day, rather. Second for Ji-Man Choi, who struck out in the first inning.
So now Yandy Diaz steps in, takes ball one in the inside part of the plate. Drills that one in the left field. And as opposed to last time where he hit a 2-run shot, this time it's caught by Gurriel to end the inning. But what a productive inning it was for the Rays. Not only do they tie things up, but they take a lead. On this shot from Jose Martinez, it's 6-4 Tampa.
Ladies and gentlemen, your attention.
Well, welcome back. So Charlie Morton's day is done here with the Rays. So it'll be Colin Poche, who we already saw in this series on Friday.
And we only saw one inning of work from him at the day off yesterday. Saw one inning of work from him on Friday night as he came in relief of Tyler Glasnow, and a guy that the Jays were glad to see just because he wasn't Glasnow with how effective Glasnow was dealing. But Poche himself came in a clean inning and contributed to that combined shutout effort in the Rays' 4-0 win.
So Rowdy Tellez now will face the lefty. Lefty on lefty here. 0-1 becomes 0-2. That fastball just nips the corner of the plate. Just recapping that crazy top end of the fifth. I mean, Daniel Robinson starts it off with a double. Wendell singles to bring him around to scores. Tellez strikes out. And then Jose Martinez with a 2-run shot to bring him and Wendell home. Puts the Rays out in front. So, we see Shoemaker. He was doing fine up until that inning. Although he also allowed a 2-run shot to Yandy Diaz back in the fourth. just a victim of the home run ball today, but also unable to get out of, a tough situation like that.
And a lot of the Rays were able to pull his pitches into those left field stands, or even doubles into left field and hits in between the third base and shortstop. And what that tells me is they were able to sit and get onto his pitches early. His fastball only comes in around 91, 92. I think the highest we saw from him today was 94, but it sits in the lower 90s. And his splitter, which is his big pitch, is down in the 80s. And so the Rays know this, and they don't have to they don't have to try and be eager on a fastball that's up at the hundreds and throw themselves off on everything else. So they had their timing to hit those pitches early, and they were pulling balls all day long.
So 5 runs for the Rays scored on the long ball today, as Zunino also hit a shot in the 4th. So rough outing for Shoemaker, one of the first of the season for him. And listen, if the Jays are going to be competitive whatsoever this year, Shoemaker's the guy who's going to have to be much better than he was today for them. As Bichette strikes out, his 3rd time today, and 2 away now.
And all 3 strikeouts now for Bo Bichette have come on the breaking ball, interestingly enough. It was Charlie Morton's slider that bit him in his first 2 strikeouts. That was the finishing pitch, and now it's the curveball from the lefty, Colin Poche here. So maybe they're identifying a bit of a weakness from Bo Bichette. Maybe it's the breaking ball that's been giving him fits this year. It seems like just about everything has, but especially maybe the breaking ball is the scouting report that they've got on Bo Bichette.
One of the bigger surprises to the start of the season is just the struggles at the plate for Bo Bichette. Now, very good defensively, but yes, you need more from him offensively, as Biggio is now in a 1-2 count.
And interestingly, on Friday night, Colin Poche came in, got 3 up, 3 down against Drury, Tellez, and Biggio, who in that game were the 6, 7, 8 hitters. This afternoon, he comes in and faces Tellez, retires him. Now he's got Biggio. Got him to pop out in his first appearance on Friday.
And he's ahead against Biggio here, 1-2. So I think now Rays are in a really good position here. Despite Morton not having the greatest start today, you got your bullpen relatively fresh. You've got the lead, and you've got a team who isn't very hot at the plate, albeit are starting to generate some offense. But a strikeout there, so Poche comes in, strikes out the side, and we'll head to the bottom of the 6th, now a 6-4 lead for the Rays. Welcome back, everyone. We head to the bottom of the 6th inning here in St. Petersburg. It's been a very incredible series in terms of the hitting. I mean, so many home runs. We've seen 3 by this team, the Rays, alone in this game. And we've seen 2 more by the Jays in this game. Only 1 run has been scored by something not a long ball, which was a Joey Wendell single back in the 5th. But man, it's been an absolute slugfest here. Shinya Yamaguchi comes out for his 2nd inning of work now.
And that 1 RBI hit that wasn't a home run, Joey Wendell single, well, guess what brought him home? But that's right, the 2-run home run. So it's all being tied back to that long ball today, as a bit of a launching pad here at Tropicana as both teams get set to part their ways after this game. The Rays heading out to Houston to play in Minute Maid, and the Jays heading to Fenway to see Boston and the Green Monster on the road at Boston for the first time this season.
course, the Jays swept the Red Sox in the opening series of the season in 4 games, and they looked magnificent. But really, the Red Sox had nothing from an offensive perspective, so it'll be fascinating to see what they're up to at Fenway. And 2-2 to Zunino, who hit a home run back in the 4th. Curveball misses inside, full count.
Well, the Red Sox were able to get back to 500 after losing that opening set and getting swept, but then they've lost 7 of their last 10, and they're back 3 games below 500 and 4 games behind the Jays behind the Jays where they currently sit before the results of this game comes through.
As that one is fouled off down the first base line. Yes, the Jays have been 500 all season long. Above 500, I should say, all season long. Albeit early, but positive signs. I think a young team likes to hear that. As Zunino strikes out.
Up next for Tampa Bay.
That's a good day for Kevin Cash when he looks at the lineup card, sees that from Mike Zunino. 2 strikeouts and a home run. I mean, that's what he's put in the lineup for. You're going to accept the swing and miss because that's just what you get from him. He's a very, very strong defensive catcher. Steady behind the plate, great at commanding his staff. We saw him work wonders here Friday night with Glasnow, just going off on the mounds and producing a big home run here tonight. I mean, Cash will take that every day of the week.
That was in a foul territory. Hernandez gets over there and is able to make the play.
Now batting, shortstop.
Long way to run into that one. And that could be a dangerous play to try and make out in the bullpens that are in foul territory there, because you've got the bumps of the mound that you don't necessarily know where they are because you can't look down when you're trying to track a ball, especially here at Tropicana, where it's so easy and you see so many outfielders lose balls in the roof. Not a very familiar setting. It's not like you're looking up into the afternoon sky here. It's white on white as you try and pick it off the roof. So Hernandez, great play there to stay with it.
The ball ground to third. Shaw makes the play. So 3 up, 3 down here for Yamaguchi in the 6th. We'll head to the 7th inning. The Jays looking to rally.
Your attention, please. Now pitching.
Oh, and welcome back on the Virtual Jays Network. We're going to see Oliver Drake come in for his 10th appearance of the season.
Drake pitched here in last night's game. He pitched a very clean inning of relief, just about as perfect as you can get out of the bullpen. He came in, pitched 1 inning, faced 3 batters, and struck them all out.
And he'll face Lourdes Gurriel Jr. 0 for 3 on the day, a couple strikeouts, playing left field as per usual. He's been busy, although a lot of balls just been soaring over his head. That left field porch, the home of lots of home run hit balls. As he swings on that low pitch, quickly 0-2 here.
You know, a quick correction on Drake. He actually walked the first batter he faced yesterday in Kricik and then struck out 3 in a row as he got 4, 5, 6 all swing and miss.
That was ground over to third. Diaz is there. He'll make the play. So the leadoff hitter is retired.
And Drake just continues the theme we've seen on the mound all day long. Poche, the lone pitcher who doesn't feature a splitter. Morton and Shoemaker both relied on it a lot. Shun Yamaguchi has an interesting one. It's a bit of a splitter hybrid. But Drake now coming in again. The guy relies heavily on that pitch. Maybe coincidentally, maybe just trying to continue what was somewhat effective from Morton. You see a splitter there. That's his bread and butter, more so than any other pitcher we've seen today. He uses that pitch a lot. He throws it more than the fastball. And it's his one pitch out of the bullpen that he can really rely on.
So here's Randall Grichuk. 2 for 2. Home run, a walk, and a single in this one.
That's ball 2.
Fastball misses away, so ball number 2 as Grichuk gets ahead here. And a really good chance here for the Jays to start to mount some sort of comeback, especially with the 2-3-4 hitters up. As Grichuk grounds that one. Lau in the shift is able to make the play on the shortstop side of things. So 2 away, a couple bang outs at first. And so Vlad Guerrero Jr. will step up with 2 out.
And an underratedly nice play there that a lot of people will probably overlook. The second baseman there, Lau, shifted over so he's ranging away from the bag to field that ball, and then throwing from the outfield grass there. Very different situation than he's used to as a second baseman. Usually you've got to throw that's about 70 feet or less. Here it's well over 100 feet as he's out past the bag, has to plant quickly and throw out Grichuk. Does a great job there on a play that usually, you don't expect the second baseman to have to make very often.
Guerrero Jr. fouls that one off into the seats, evens up the count at 1. Yeah, really good play from Lau there. I mean, listen, he's got to do everything he can to stay in the lineup the way he's played this series. Now 0 for 3 in this game. One to the designated hitter, Guerrero Jr. 2 strikes now as he swings and misses there. And so Vlad Guerrero Jr., I think some fans probably expected him to be the guy leading this team in home runs to start off the year. What have you liked, and what do you want more of?
I think this right there, you see, making good contact, lining a ball. It doesn't find a gap, it doesn't get down, but that solid stroke's a good sign.
And we'll be back with much more of that once we stretch here in St. Petersburg.
Your attention, please. Now,
Well, and welcome back. So now we'll see the lefty Thomas Pannone under the pen for the Jays here.
And the Jays have an off day tomorrow, which is a luxury the Rays do not share. The Rays have to travel out to Houston for a game tomorrow, but the Jays are basically able to empty their bullpen here. Pannone's a guy that we haven't seen yet this series. So you mentioned earlier in the game with a great point where why aren't the Jays going to a lefty with all the lefty bats the Rays have? Well, here the Jays save him for the 7th. He's able to come in now, relieving a great effort by Yamaguchi, and he'll face a couple big lefties here in Wendell and Meadows.
So a gamble pays off, at least for now, from Montoyo. So 7th inning man is Pannone. He started some in his career. He's come into the bullpen some in his career. But this year looks like he's primarily a bullpen guy.
One, he also, as we've mentioned, is the only lefty. So it's not even like he's a converted starter similar to Yamaguchi where he's going to just come in when you need someone for multiple innings. He's got almost a double role where he can give you multiple innings, but he can also be a lefty specialist because you've got no one else to fill that job right now.
So a 5-pitch walk to Joey Wendell. Jose Martinez up now. 2 strikeouts as well as a 2-run home run in his very last at-bat. As we take a look now at that shot in the 5th. Really a no-doubter to left.
That one off of the foul pole. You knew it had the distance. You can see there, it gets it nicely right in the mesh part of the metal. As he touched the mesh out there, you could see that one had the distance. Just wasn't sure if it was going to stay fair, and just barely. As that shot made a big difference in this game, of course.
Very fluid swing. And a good one at that. He's a big guy at the plate. He really extends those arms. You see it there, although this time it's ground to third. Quick play to second for one, and the play to first is out of play. So it'll be scored an E4 on Biggio there, as the Jays tried to get the 5-4-3 double play, and Biggio just simply overthrows his man.
And Biggio had lots of time to try and corral that one and make a clean throw. Not the fastest guy in the world running down there at first base, and if that ball was on line with the timing that he had thrown it, he would have beaten him by about 2 steps, so he could have collected himself a little bit more. Instead, just airmails it into the dugout, and now Martinez gets second base for free as a result.
So 1 out, now runner in scoring position for Austin Meadows, who's 2 for 2 in the day, I should say, with a walk. And one thing that really not surprises me, but just something I noticed from Meadows is even on Friday when he hit a home run opposite field to left, he really uses the entire ballpark. I think it's why he's so successful at the plate.
And that's why it's dangerous for the Jays to shift on him as they did in his first couple at bats. Here with a runner on second, they'll play him straight away, but some get burned with the double down the line because you mentioned he can really hit to all fields as he went against the shift earlier.
Now it's grounded back up in front of the catcher. Jansen fields and throws to first in time. So Meadows is retired. Martinez actually stays at second. He's unable to advance.
And that's
two away from
Danny
Brendan Lowe.
Jansen getting his pitcher back. In the first inning, Meadows' single was a very similar play where Shoemaker got a soft dribbler and Jansen not able to come out in front of the plate and field it, throw the first in time. Here, a play that looks almost identical. He is able to. Same runner, same catcher. This time, Jansen gets it there in time, and the second out is retired.
So Brandon Lau now 0 for 3. Just .080 average with runners in scoring position this season. Flies that one out to left center. Grichuk gets underneath it, and he'll make the play. So Thomas Pannone is able to get through the 7th. It remains 6-4 here as we head to the 8th. Jays looking to mount a comeback.
Ladies and gentlemen, your attention please.
Hello everyone, and welcome back to St. Petersburg. We're going to see another bullpen arm for the Rays. This time it's Jose Alvarado.
Alvarado is a guy that's really had a rough start to his 2020. He's already got 2 blown saves in only 2 save situations, an ERA over 40. And of course that number can only go down, but that just shows not a great start for him. He's 0-1. But those 2 blown saves for a back end of the bullpen piece, that's the real indicator. 2 chances he's been given and 2 chances he's blown.
Can certainly dial up the heat. 2-seamer hitting 100 on the gun. A little more, a good chance here for the Jays potentially to capitalize on what has been a slow start for Alvarado. Although he's going to take on Shaw, Hernandez, and Jansen. There's 1 lefty and 2 righties. All 3 players have hits today. And, you know, we keep seeing some really good arms come out of this Rays pen. It's not surprising at all. I've mentioned numerous times in this series, the Rays have really good bullpens. They develop pitchers really, really well. One thing they don't do always, though, although maybe they do this year, is have a good rotation. Oftentimes they're developing that rotation because, you know, in baseball, especially in free agency, the best starting pitchers make the most money. Bullpen guys just don't sell for as much or don't sign for as much rather, as Shaw strikes out swinging. It's late off the inning. Because of the fact that well, starters pitch so many more innings. But as we take a look at the starting lines today, neither pitcher really doing that good of a job, although the strikeouts for both rather high. 7 hits allowed for both, and 6 earned for Shoemaker today. That's not going to look good in the stat line. But my point, Drew, is that Tampa has found ways to revolutionize baseball, and one of those ways is the opener.
And last year they were forced to do it more than they would have liked because of injuries coming. We saw Glasnow dominate Friday night. Last year they lost him so early in the season, and that was a big piece to go down. Snell got hurt, among other injuries, and so they were forced to be creative. And they used Sergio Romo at first as the guy that they were able to throw in the first inning and get an inning, maybe 2 innings, of just playing matchups. They actually started him against the Angels for the very first opener, where it was Trout, Upton, and I believe David Fletcher was the third, 3 righties. And they used Romo, played the matchups, and got a couple free innings there so that when they brought in a quote-unquote starter, whether it be a guy like Ryan Yarbrough or a guy that we saw, Chirinos was a guy for them as well. They had a few options. They weren't tasked as much as a traditional starter would be, and that was one of the reasons they got to the wildcard game and eventually into the ALDS last year.
As Hernandez strikes out swinging, so a couple Ks in this inning for Alvarado, as he'll now see Danny Jansen, who is 1 for 2 in the day with a double as well as a walk. But yeah, and one of the reasons that the Rays had to get creative is just because you mentioned injuries, but also they don't have the kind of payroll to go out and pay these premier starters. I mean, you can get a Charlie Morton, a mid-30s Charlie Morton. As that one is grounded over the third. No, what a play by Yandy Diaz. Ranging to his right away from first base into foul territory, jumps and throws.
Your attention, please. Now pitching for...
Well, I'm going to welcome back. So now we'll see the 8th inning man for the Blue Jays. It's going to be Justin Miller.
Miller, we saw him on Friday night. He didn't pitch last night, but he's back here this afternoon. And a guy that has looked really strong in low leverage situations. I've mentioned on the broadcast before, he has impressed me personally with his work so far this year. It's going to be slider heavy and fastball, a 2-pitch righty out of the pen. He's got an interesting task here with a big, powerful lefty. As you see, Choi really gets a hold of that one as he takes it foul.
0 for 3, a couple strikeouts. Choi is on the day.
I got a ball, 1 strike.
Big spot for Miller here. Despite not being in a necessarily high leverage situation, you still want to keep this game just a 2-run deficit for the Jays. And also, you're in the 8th inning here. And the fact is, you're getting a lot of opportunity if you're Justin Miller early on in the season. It's a chance to prove yourself.
He proved himself Friday night, striking out the side in the only inning he pitched.
In the bullpen, both him and Yamaguchi were perfect in that one. As that one is singled into center. So G-Man Choi gets his first base hit of the day.
And the Jays bullpen, we talked about the Rays bullpen. Well, how about the Jays bullpen themselves looking pretty strong? Friday night, it was a 4-0 win for the Rays, where all 4 of the runs came in the first 3 innings. And then after Thornton was pulled in the 4th, the Jays bullpen pitched a clean 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th without even allowing a single hit. Today we've seen a bit of the same as after the starter Shoemaker lifted. Yamaguchi, Pannone, and now Miller have done a great job so far. They're really settling down a lineup that was very hot to start the night.
So we see a couple more arms warming in that pen for the Jays. 0-2 to Diaz, who made incredible defensive play to end the top half of this inning. Was able to range to his right on a ball hit by Danny Jansen right down the line. He was also in the shift a little bit, but not necessarily to the right, more so to the left. It looked like there was a lot of room on that line. Came over, fields, throws, and had tons of time even. Jansen, that was not even a bang-bang play. Jansen was still far away from first base, so a really good play. As Tellez himself makes a good defensive play. Sprints into foul territory. He's able to catch that ball one away.
His first day in the field of 2020. Got a few starts down in Buffalo and AAA, but in his second game in 2020, he was DHing here Friday night, back at first base, and makes a nice play running into foul territory. And I'll tell you what, Miller will really appreciate that one.
Certainly will. And the 0-1 count is Miller to Mike Zunino. Catcher takes outside. That slider just missing. So ball one and strike one. To the former third overall pick of the University of Florida. The 2-1. Zunino is swung on and missed. Evens up the count at 2 now. Miller really working the outside part. 2-2 is swung on and fouled off near the bullpen.
Well, he was all over that slider. He struck out on a fastball down the middle in his last at-bat. Expect Miller to challenge him here.
The 2-2 is whiffed on there. So Miller gets his first strikeout of his outing. And Zunino strikes out for the third time today.
And that was a fastball he just dialed up. And Zunino actually was out in front of that one. Surprisingly, I guess he was expecting the challenge. I mean, he knew it was coming. Jansen and Miller knew it was coming. Up in the booth, we were expecting a fastball there too. He got it. Zunino trying to meet him out in front of the plate and really jump on that one. It's just a little too antsy as he goes down swinging. 3 strikeouts for Zunino today, mixed in with a big home run.
Kevin Kiermaier, not too much to do today defensively, but when he does, he certainly can. As I've mentioned earlier, 3-time Gold Glover. He fouls that one off, 2-1 now. Of course, the Travis Shaw deep shot into dead center. I mean, it almost went under this park. That would have been Shaw's second of the year. Kiermaier was there to get it right at the warning track. But other than that, he's been pretty quiet in the field. Quiet day at the plate, 2 for 0 for 3 in that 2-2. He's able to ground it to first. Tellez is there to field and make the play. A couple of good plays in this inning for him defensively. So we'll head now to the 9th inning. Last chance for the Jays here to tie things up or maybe even take the lead here at the Trop.
Your attention, please. Now,
Well, I want to welcome back. So we'll see Nick Anderson, the closer for the Rays, step in now, looking for his 4th potentially of the season.
Yeah, 3 for 3 for Nick Anderson. Still yet to allow a run. Still yet to allow a base hit to a right-handed hitter. He's got 2 lefties here to deal with. The first one will be Rowdy Tellez. Then after Bo Bichette, it's back to the top of the order with Cavan Biggio. And Nick Anderson on Friday night, we saw him walk the leadoff hitter before striking out the sides on back-to-back-to-back strikeout swinging that he got from the 1-2-3 hitters on Friday. So a different look for the Jays lineup. He's seeing 3 different hitters to do up here in the 9th. We'll see what he's got in store.
0-2 now. to the first baseman Tellez. So it'll be 8-9-1 hitters up, as you mentioned, for the Jays. Their last chance here to mount a comeback. If they were to lose, they would lose 2 straight series, as they lost. They dropped 2 or 3 to the Twins back earlier in the week. And
1 and 2.
dropped the opener this one Friday night 4-0. Came back yesterday in a close one and went 5-4, but started off hot in this one. They were up 4-0 at one point, but the Rays really driving the long ball and able to get 6 runs unanswered, at least so far, as Tellez strikes out, swinging on that inside pitch, and he is very upset with himself.
Well, that's his 3rd strikeout so far today. A guy that didn't make the team out of camp, called up now, not necessarily guaranteed too many plate appearances. Had the day off yesterday against the lefty, and he's really going to have to work his way into the lineup and capitalize on his chances. So that's where the frustration stems from. He had a single today, but the 3 strikeouts has him a little bit on edge today.
And now Bo Bichette, who also has 3 strikeouts on the day. And I think he'll be gripping that bat just as tight as Tellez was. Lots of pressure for both these hitters for very different reasons. As Bichette takes inside, 2-0 now.
No break.
So a hitter's count for the shortstop, Bichette. Looking to get on base here for this Jays team who, the long ball's been flying. I mean, at the end of the day, you've got the top of the order coming up next. Just get on. And there's still tons of possibilities here. 2-1 to Bichette. It's taken. That sinker sinks away from the plate. So 3-1 now.
Anderson's got a 4-pitch arsenal. It's going to be the fastball and sinker. Fastball he can get up around 98, 99. And he complements that with 2 different breaking balls, an over-the-top curve and a sharp slider.
Full count. 3 and 2.
The 2-2, or the 3-1 rather, is swung on. Makes it a 3-2 count. Bichette trying to draw some sort of plate or on-base appearance here as he strikes out once again. 4 strikeouts on the day for Bichette, all swinging. And that golden sombrero will be worn today by the Jays shortstop.
And a nightmare of a series for Bo Bichette. Born in Florida himself, a bit of a homestand in a way here as he comes back to his home province. Not the series of games he wanted. He was benched on Friday night's game. Last night he had a pair of strikeouts. Got a base hit, but that was it. Today, 4 strikeouts swinging. And now the Jays are down to their final out with Gavin Biggio.
Bichette will have an off day to really let that one sink in his mind, but it's just all about the approach, and he'll learn that as a young player. Biggio now with a big whiff on that curveball. So 1-1 to the Jays' last chance to do anything in this game. And that one's fouled down. Third baseline, but it'll sail into the bullpen. So final strike now the Jays are on here. As Nick Anderson looks to finish things off, potentially by striking at the side. And he does! The closer gets the 8-9-1 hitters all swinging. And the Tampa Bay Rays win this series. Their first series win of the season. And take 2 of 3, so they now have, 7 wins, if I'm correct, now on the season, and potentially a turning point for them.
And a lot of players looked really good for this Rays team during this series. They only win it by a couple runs in a few close games. This series really could have gone either way, you could say. But man, at times this team looked dominant, especially on the pitching side of the game. At the plate, it was really a few standouts from Austin Meadows and a couple other that were able to really make some differences with the bat in power situations. But on the mound, we saw Glasnow look sharp, very sharp, and the bullpen as a whole. I mean, today, the bullpen was 4 different pitchers. They combined to not give up a single hit. Despite Morton being pulled after 5, they pitched 4 clean innings without allowing a run, without allowing a hit, and actually without even allowing a single base runner. No walks in there either, just a whole bunch of strikeouts, combining to show what we mentioned quite a few times, one of the true strengths of this Tampa Bay Rays team.
So the Rays take this one, and yes, that really is kind of their MO this season. It's going to be their bullpen, sometimes bailing out their starters, as it did today. The Rays advanced to 7-15 on the year, and the Blue Jays fall to 13-9 now, and we'll see, depending on what happened with the Yankees game today, whether or not the divisional balance will change. But, so back-to-back series losses now for the Jays. What's the message going to be tomorrow on the off day as they travel to Boston?
Well, the message, I'm not sure exactly what Montoya is going to say, but I know who it's going to be directed to, and it's going to be the bats. Shoemaker has a bit of an off day today, but he has looked really strong so far this season. We saw a bit of a pitching duel on a couple of the earlier games. Sure, you don't get the game you want out of Ryu, where you want more of an ace performance, but he was passable. And Friday night, Trent Thornton looked pretty good for a number 5 pitcher in your rotation. The few mistakes to Austin Meadows, I feel like they can be forgiven for the type of role you're expecting from him, but the bats just haven't delivered. I mean, combining for only a couple hits here and there over the first game, and then here tonight, striking out 17 times tonight. Just not appropriate or acceptable at all for a major league lineup. And there's been shakeups. We've seen Bichette moved. We've seen Tellez called in for the extra bat to add to this lineup. There's going to be some changes for Montoya over the off day tomorrow, and I'd say keep an eye on Tuesday's starting lineup when we roll into Fenway to see what they can come up with, because something's got to give here if the Jays are going to defend their first place spot in the American League East for much longer.
And 5 home runs hit in this game alone. It was really a slugfest in this series, and has the chance to be a real slugfest in Boston coming up to 2 lineups who can do some damage when they're on. Certainly some power, especially on the righty side of things. And they'll see Fenway, historic Fenway, as well as the Green Monster. So for all that, we will be here Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday on the Virtual Jays Network. But we appreciate you joining us on this beautiful afternoon for some Sunday baseball, as the Jays drop 2-3 in this series here in St. Petersburg and fall to 13-9 on the year. But for Jackson Farough and Drew Frank, we appreciate you joining us today, and have a great evening, everyone. We'll see you on Tuesday.